Let's go out to Caitlin in Pittsburgh. What's up, Caitlin?
Hey, John.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I called into your show back in October.
Yeah?
My question then was along the lines of I felt like I was placing trauma onto my kids because of depression and disassociation.
Okay.
My question today is I have lived all my life numbing my emotions due to trauma. I don't know how to connect to myself or emotions, and emotions terrify me. I also feel paralyzed from fear from pretty much doing anything in life. So where do I start to connect to myself and emotions without being paralyzed by fear?
Wow. What happened?
Well, as a child, I was sexually abused by my dad.
Man, I'm so sorry. How long did that go on, Caitlin?
Quite a few years.
Yeah. Who ultimately took care of you?
My parents, I don't know.
Who came and rescued you, Caitlin?
Nobody.
When did you finally escape that madness?
Oh, it stopped in my teens. So yeah, it just all of a sudden stopped.
Did your mom know?
No.
Does she know now?
Yes.
Where's your dad now?
Still around.
Is he in jail?
No.
Why not?
It's currently in the process.
Okay. Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Caitlin. I wish you'd had a better dad. Little Caitlin deserved that, and teenage Caitlin deserved that, and grown-up Caitlin deserved that. Do you have kids of your own now?
Yes.
How old are your kids?
8, 7, or no, 9, 8, 6, and 2.
Okay. We may have talked about this in the last call. Have you found your own trauma responses escalating as you've added more kids to the fold and they've gotten to the age you were when this madness started?
Yes.
Okay. Have you gone to talk to anybody?
Yes. I've been seeing a therapist for the past year and a half.
And it's not doing any good?
I don't know. She says that I've made a big made a big change, but a lot of the days I don't see it myself.
Okay. I can tell you from my personal experience and from sitting with a bajillion people, at the end of the day, trauma disconnects somebody from themselves. The way you described it, that I have trouble feeling, I have trouble connecting with my emotions, is a perfect way to explain that. And if somebody hasn't been abused, they haven't experienced childhood trauma, they haven't experienced big trauma, they don't really understand what it feels like to literally be walking down the street and feel disconnected from your own feet, or to feel like your body's on fire just because you have a 2-year-old crawling all over you, or you just want to scream and run out of the house just because your kids are laughing too loud. It's this disconnection from yourself. So the goal of any sort of therapeutic intervention is to reconnect with yourself. The hard part is your body's put a pin in that, as we cannot do that again, because the one person who was supposed to keep us safe, our dad, violated that at its core. So after a year and a half, if you haven't already, you have to enter into some sort of, and this is from the great Peter Levine's work, you have to enter into some sort of body work. That can look as simple as you having a guided therapist that you trust who just simply puts their hands on you, like on your shoulders and on your head and on your chest and on your arms, as you go back and re-experience some of these things and teach your body what good touch and safe touch feels like. Or let me say it in another way, you can't talk and think your way through healing on this. You might be a great candidate for some of the newer procedures that are out, like the psychedelics and ketamine and some of these other therapies that are showing some great clinical promise, but you have to have the right practitioner. You can't just go crank that stuff out on your own. It's very, very, very unsafe and unstable if you do it by yourself. But it may be that what happened to you and for the duration of how it happened to you was so profound. And now you're surrounded by 4 kids, and so you're trying to change the oil on this car while it's driving. It may be that you need to have some more radical interventions with folks that know what they're doing. Some of my close friends in the military community have just told me wonderful, incredible stories, extraordinary stuff. But you have to enter into a new phase of, okay, I'm ready to reconnect. And just know that that's not fun and it's scary. Is that something you're interested in, Caitlin?
Yes. I mean, it's definitely something I want to do is to reconnect because I don't want to continue living the way I am.
Right. So,
and the reason for this call was my therapist is working on emotions right now. And it seems like every single time I try and do that, I go into this phase of suicidal thoughts and everything.
Yeah, your therapist has been working with you for 18 months, and so there's a lot more than that your therapist can glean from you than I can in a few minutes of a phone call. I personally wouldn't be doing emotion work right now. What you're describing is deeply seated inside of you and your body. Now, if he or she is trying to get you to feel a certain thing in therapy, where it's safe in there to feel an emotion and sit with it for a bit, that might be what's happening. And you get flooded with all kinds of wild thoughts because your body's been working really hard to not feel anything, because last time we felt something, it was filled with pain and innocence being stolen and all those things. But at the end of the day, I think having a direct conversation with your therapist that I've been doing this for 18 months and I'm ready to enter into a more directive, focused healing, preferably around some sort of body work. If we have to do emotion work, great, but it's got to be done in a safe therapeutic context, which hopefully is what your therapist is providing you. But it's at some point, you can't keep talking about the same stuff. The healing doesn't happen that way. You have to reconnect with your body. That's the disconnection. That's the trauma. And your body's going to remain overwhelmed by all these memories and all these feelings and all these emotions and all these sensations until your body learns, hey, we weren't safe then and we are safe now. And please know, everybody listening, I know what I am saying sounds like woo-woo. I get it. But I can tell you personally, I have tracked my sleep score and my HRV as I have entered through this type of therapeutic intervention, and my whole life is changing. Everything is changing for the better as my nervous system finally begins to slow down. So all that to say is, Caitlin, we're with you. It's time to have a direct conversation with your therapist about, okay, 18 months in, cool. It's time to make some changes. We need to do some body work. We need to do some more directive trauma work, maybe some EMDR. And if not, maybe it's time to get a new trauma therapist, or it's time to look at some of these more experimental solutions with guided practitioners and researchers who know exactly what they're doing. I'm grateful for you, Caitlin. I wish I could provide you more instantaneous, like magic wand help here. This is just going to be a slog. My promise is there is healing on the other side if you'll make the journey. Please don't go alone.